What happens when the smartest man in England tells the most powerful man in England no? If your answer was, they calmly discuss their differences like reasonable adults. You've clearly never met Henry VIII. Today, we are talking about Thomas More, scholar, lawyer, Lord Chancellor, humanist, family man, and eventually the biggest obstacle standing between Henry VIII and everything he wanted. One man refused to bend. The other refused to hear the word no. I'm sure you can already guess who won that battle. Welcome back, my darlings, to Wed and Behead, where saying the wrong thing to the king could shorten more than just the conversation. I am Lady Thorn. Today we are discussing Thomas More, a man so intelligent that kings sought his advice, a man so respected that Europe admired him, and a man so stubborn he looked Henry VIII directly in the eye and essentially said, "I'd rather lose my head than change my mind." Now, most people, when presented with that choice, change their mind. Thomas More did not, which is either extraordinarily brave or spectacularly impractical. We'll let you decide. Meanwhile, Lord Thorn once argued with the tax collector over 2 pennies. He folded after 7 minutes. Thomas More argued with the King of England. That is confidence bordering on insanity. Henry loved surrounding himself with brilliant people, as long as they agreed with him. Thomas More was one of the brightest minds in Europe. He wrote books, debated scholars, spoke multiple languages, served as a lawyer, advised the king, eventually becoming Lord Chancellor after Cardinal Wolsey's spectacular collapse. Imagine replacing Wolsey. Rather like accepting the captain's chair after watching the previous captain sail directly into an iceberg. You know exactly how this ends. At first, everything worked beautifully. Henry admired More. More respected Henry. England appeared wonderfully stable. Then, Henry decided he wanted a divorce. And suddenly, everyone discovered there was one rather inconvenient obstacle. Thomas More believed the Pope, not Henry, had authority over marriage. Henry's response? Oh, I don't think so. Now, here's the interesting part. Thomas More did not march through London shouting that Henry was wrong. He was not giving speeches in the marketplace. He was not leading protests. Instead, he remained mostly silent, which somehow irritated Henry even more. Apparently, silence can be louder than shouting when you are a king determined to hear agreement. Henry wanted public support. Thomas More politely declined to provide it, which, in Tudor England, was interpreted as rebellion. Rather than approve Henry's marriage to Anne Boleyn, More resigned as Lord Chancellor. That was no small decision. He walked away from wealth, influence, prestige, and power, all because he refused to compromise his conscience. Nowadays, people quit jobs because the coffee machine is broken. Thomas More resigned because he believed eternal salvation mattered more than political survival. That is commitment, whether you agree with him or not. Here's was something Henry never mastered: the ability to accept disagreement. He could tolerate flattery, applause, obedience, agreement. But someone quietly refusing to endorse his plans? Absolutely not. Soon, Parliament passed the Act of Succession, then the Act of Supremacy. Henry became supreme head of the Church of England. Everyone important was expected to swear an oath recognizing his authority. Everyone, including Thomas More. Henry offered More a remarkably simple choice: sign the oath or do not. One option led back to court, the other led to the Tower of London. More chose the Tower. You have to admire the consistency. Most people become flexible when execution enters the conversation. More somehow became even more determined. Eventually, More was charged with treason. Now, Tudor trials had a charming habit of reaching conclusions before they actually happen. Witnesses appeared. Evidence was convenient. Verdicts were rarely surprising. More defended himself brilliantly. It did not matter. The outcome had already been decided. When the king wants a conviction, the jury tends to become remarkably cooperative. Thomas More climbed the scaffold. He was calm, composed, still refusing to betray his conscience. Legend says he joked with the executioner. Imagine having enough composure to crack jokes while walking toward an axe. I find that both impressive and slightly unsettling. With one swing, England lost one of its greatest scholars. Henry lost one of his oldest friends. And history gained one of its most famous martyrs. So, was Thomas More a saint? History eventually declared him one. Was he stubborn? Oh, without question. Was he courageous? Absolutely. Would I recommend arguing theology with Henry VIII? Only if you have already ordered your coffin. Thomas More understood something many Tudor courtiers never did. Power changes. Kings die. Politics shift. But if you abandon your principles every time a ruler demands it, eventually you will not recognize yourself. More paid the highest possible price for living by that belief. Whether you admire him or disagree with him, you cannot accuse him of lacking conviction. And in Tudor England, conviction was often the quickest route to the executioner's block. Next time, on Wed and Behead, we are meeting a bishop who could hold a grudge longer than Henry VIII held a feast. Stephen Gardiner, patient, brilliant, dangerously clever. While louder men rushed toward disaster, Gardiner quietly waited and quietly survived. Trust me, the quiet ones were often the most terrifying. Join me next time for Stephen Gardiner, the bishop who never forgot. If you enjoyed today's journey through conscience, courage, and catastrophic royal disagreements, don't forget to like, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. Here at Wed and Behead, every crown hides a conspiracy. Every courtier has a secret. And almost everyone is only one bad decision away from the tower. Now, my darlings, until next time, remember to keep your crown straight and your head attached.